Hi everyone. This video is about the task of revision, which sounds deceptively simple, but it's often harder than it sounds, and it's also a really critical part of this class as well. So I'm going to take just a little bit of time to talk about what revision looks like. So the first thing I want to emphasize is that revision is more than making a lot of superficial small changes to an essay that you're working on. It's more than correcting typos. It's more than fixing grammatical issues. It's more than changing a word choice here and there. It's more than editing the title, and it's more than correcting your citations. All of those things are kind of superficial, easy little fixes. And in fact, we usually group this collection of tasks under the label of editing or proofreading. And those are really important tasks too when you're finishing an essay, but that falls under a different kind of work. Usually we save editing and proofreading for the very last step, right before we submit an essay, because the changes we're making are quite minor in nature. But revision is much bigger than that. It's looking at the big picture of your entire essay and thinking about large, significant changes that you can make to it, which is why I like to think about revision as revisioning your essay. You're thinking about a totally different map of what that can look like. I've made a list of just a few examples of what revision can look like. This is not an exhaustive list. Rethinking and changing the entire structure of the draft. You even might go back and outline your essay all over again and say, ooh, I want to move this part here, and I want to move this part over here, and I need to add a part over here. Sometimes when we outline after drafting the first draft, we can totally revise the structure. Revision can look like rewriting an entire paragraph, in fact, or rewriting many paragraphs. We might return to a paragraph to give it a clearer point. Maybe it feels kind of muddled, or that it's saying many different things instead of one really clear, coherent thing. That's a common task in revision. And it might look like just taking out your introduction altogether. It's not working, writing a totally new introduction. These represent some of the tasks that can be involved in revision, some of the larger rewriting things that you might do. And I know that might sound difficult and hard, and I want to share with you that everyone feels this way about revision, not just first-year writing students. Even I feel annoyed when I have to go back and revise something because we feel like we've already done the thing. It's already there on paper. Isn't that enough work? It's hard to kind of overcome that inertia, to do more work on it. But the truth is, and the reason that we emphasize revision so much in this class, is that that's usually what takes adequate writing to really good writing, or even it takes good writing to great writing, by taking the time to revise your writing, establishing a first draft, and then taking a look at it from afar to think about how you can make it better. This is a really important task in this class. And it's also really important to each of the 3 projects that we'll be working on. Our schedule builds in for every project we work on this task of revision, where you write a first draft, you solicit feedback from me and from your peers, and you plan a revision. Part of how I will grade all of your final essays is by how much you've revised. How much work have you put into listening to the feedback from your peers and from me, and how have you translated that feedback into action? How have you taken that feedback and made meaningful changes in your writing? And one thing that I have done when I'm revising something is to highlight the changes that I've made. This is from a journal article that I was working on this summer. I sent in a version and they asked for some revision. So when I went back to do the revision, for my sake and for their sake, I highlighted all the changes I made so that I could keep track of what I changed, and I felt really good about seeing all of that yellow on the page. And so my ultimate reader could know what I changed without having to think too hard about it. So I actually recommend that you do the same thing for your final versions. It'll help you to feel good about the changes you've made by seeing a lot of yellow on your screen, and it'll help me to know that you have undertaken significant revision, which only brings me joy. So I really encourage you to do that. That's all. So at this point, after you finish this video, you're going to go read how to create a revision plan, and you'll get to work on actually doing this hard stuff that we've been discussing right now.